Let's see what happens.
Okay. I'll be on the chat. I'll listen.
All right, all right, all right, all right. So listen, man, we should. I think. I think we're streaming. Yeah, I think so, man. So if you're out there, hang on. I got a commercial coming. All right, there we go. All right. Yeah, no thanks. Oh my gosh. All right. So listen, Jeff is has all internet. I mean, it's pretty amazing actually that Jeff is that we can do any of this. First off, let's just sit right there. And we were going to be on Discord, but Jeff's audio. We are on Discord. We're going to bring Discord audio in, but not video. And we Jeff's internet is down. His on the struggle bus, so he's not able to start the stream in the way that we were going to. So anyway, but I'm starting, and everybody's voice can be in it. Can be on the stream. It's just that I'll be the only one who's really rocking and rolling here. So I'll be the only one that you can see. This handsome mug right here. There it is, man. Look at that. Look at that. Hang on, let me. Oh, you can't see me on the stream? I'm on the live. Yeah, you got to be on YouTube. Hang on, I'll put myself. No, I can't do that. I think I have to keep that shut off. I don't know what I have to do. Darn. I turned my on Discord my camera is off, so you can't see me there. But you know, I'm there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh man, hang on. I just did something which is a problem. All right. I wasn't supposed to do that. Hang on, let me just see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So we're good, right? And I just messed up by turning on my camera over here. I messed up the stream. So the only thing I can do is start it, to stop it and start it again. Yeah. All right. All right. How about okay, there it is. Disc Discord, man. Hey everybody, if you're watching, we're just playing with this. But Jeff, I messed up my camera by accidentally turning it on Discord, and I don't know how to fix that. Because, dude. Yeah. Yeah, my all right. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, no, I'm good. My volume's good. I just can't fix. I just don't know how to fix my camera. Besides, all I can do is end the stream and start it again. But listen, let's just do this, man. Let me bring. Yeah.
And
Oh, it's
turn.
unmuted. There you go. You're on the stream now. My bad. All right. Oh my gosh,
And
everybody.
if you want to stay right where you are in terms of like the scene you're currently on, where it's like the video is a little weird,
Yeah.
just drag the corner and make it
Yeah.
full screen.
No, I can't. But I can't.
I also still can't hear myself on this. Oh, now I can.
Yeah, now you
Yeah,
can. All right, man.
and the
Listen,
streams.
Elijah, you can hear you now, and I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Jeff, I can't fix
I,
that. So listen, man. I'm gonna bring Steven in.
Okay.
There you go, Steven. Man, now you should be in Discord. You should be able to hear me.
yep. I can hear you. Okay.
All right, awesome, man. I'll just bring a few folks in, and we'll see what happens. Hey, listen, um, I was asking you, what did you think about class yesterday? By the way, this idea of, where we're really trying to talk about the importance of, to the United States, the importance of immigrants and to our economy over the past really 50 years. But yeah, does that?
It's it's quite because I'm obviously from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and we left Europe with the big Brexit,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't vote for, but unfortunately it was all based on immigration, with people saying we
Mm-hmm.
don't need immigrants, we don't need anyone. So currently we're stretched in our hospitals because all the doctors and nurses that we would normally get from outside of Europe and places to assist, because we cannot make enough of them ourselves in our country. So our NHS is stretched. We're desperate for lorry drivers because of all of the immigrants who used to drive the lorries for us have found out they've gone back to the European countries, a lot of them Eastern European. And basically, we're short on, they reckon 2 years ago, they were saying they were short on 10,000 lorry drivers. And then they're complaining because farmers can't get enough labor to pick all of the crops from the fields for the food, because basically, for a lot of our population, working in a field is below them. They don't want to do that hard labor. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, before that, we had a lot of immigrants, mostly Eastern Europeans, come and do it. And they were quite happy to do it
Mm-hmm.
and get paid more than
Mm-hmm.
what they would in their country. And so when you think about it, if you really block immigration and you start to make the country where immigrants just don't want to live here anymore,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that, who's going to do their work? Because I can guarantee you, especially in the current generation of people, they don't want to do the dirty jobs. They
Yeah.
don't want to do the hard-working jobs and that. So who's going to do them?
Well,
Well, there are plenty of people happy.
yeah. Well, and the reason is, I mean, okay, so we talk about exploitation, right? And some, people raise that, and there's a level of exploitation, I suppose. But for example, I know somebody who's here working in the United States, um, without documentation. They're working under the table. It's a couple, and they're getting, their salaries are okay. They're able to do okay, but that they would do better if they had papers, okay. But they're sending money home to their country where the standard of living, the cost of living is so much less. So they were able to purchase a piece of land, which they never could purchase in the U.S. If they were doing the jobs that they're doing here, well, they could, but it would be really difficult. They would not have paid it off already. So they purchased this piece of land, and they're in the process of building a house, which is going to cost them about $30,000 to $40,000, right? Which they never, would be, 6 or 7 times that much here in the United States, the kind of house they're building. So, it is when immigrants are coming from a place where the cost of living is so different, then it just kind of changes the score a lot, and I think that's it, for you, like a lot of Polish workers, when I go through Poland, the cost of things is so much less than it is in the UK or France or Belgium or something, So.
Oh, it is. We've got quite, things are just getting more expensive
Mm-hmm.
as we go. We do know there has been channels on the internet comparing the UK's cost of living to America's cost of living,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a north-south divide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm currently looking at buying my first house, and for me to get what we call a two up, two down, typical um, Victorian house,
Mm-hmm.
2 rooms on the ground floor, 2 rooms on the top floor. Um, in my area, because I live up in the northern part of the UK, I'm looking at about 180,000
Euros
pounds.
or pounds. Yeah.
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 And my cousins have bought the same, what is near enough a picture perfect, copy, and they're down in Basingstoke, which is 30 miles out of London, and they've had to pay 370,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like completely. Yeah. Very, very different. No, it's a it's a difficult thing, right? I mean, the other side, the one thing I didn't say, and certainly is true in so many different ways, is that so much of the money that immigrants send back home is really, in a way, it's sort of this global foreign aid process. There's all these like money flows that are going back and forth, and so many people are taking care of family members back home in lots of different ways. These two people that I'm talking about regularly send $1,000 or $2,000 back home to just help their families, and so that's money that this is a very poor country, so it's money that we're not thinking about in terms of foreign aid, and that's part of what foreign aid in a wealthy country like the United States is about. There's a humanitarian component to it, to USAID, and we don't want countries to fall apart. We know what happens when they do. The overflow. Look at Europe. Look what you all are dealing with, right? That the overflow of people who leave a country that has fallen apart and go to other wealthier countries is just overwhelming. So we don't want that, and so we want to give foreign aid out in this way. So it's very complicated. It's not just giving money away. It's ensuring that we also do well, and that's one of the things I was trying to say yesterday that I thought was.
I don't know if you've seen the news recently about the amount of migrants that come across in little dinghies across the channel between France and the UK. Something that we're trying to deal with as a country for that. And there's still lots of talks between us and France because of, you know, who should really be stopping it, because why are the French letting them travel across the border? It's because they don't want them,
Yeah.
and they're coming across to get refugee status. And unfortunately, because there is quite a mass migrancy going across, because people who go from Mexico to America, they see it as, the new world, attempt of a job and stuff like that. And it isn't always the case, because the downside to a lot of the illegal immigration of people coming in, sneaking across the border, etc., is that they're taken advantage of by criminals and, other ne'er-do-wells who basically exploit them, get them to work for very little money, and they basically benefit off of those migrants, for themselves and get themselves rich. And I think people are not seeing that aspect of it, about how a migrant is being taken advantage of, and that they just see it as another person coming to try and claim off the system.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, there are just many different ways in which we have to see this issue, and this is true at the same time, right? I mean, it's kind of like, I think this is what G was saying yesterday in class. Like, if I look at this from the perspective of people, American citizens, and I think, okay, so these international students are coming into the United States, just to stick with the U.S. for a second, and they're going to compete with my children, right? And let's say they do better, and then they take the job that my child was hoping to take. But it's good for the company because they get a smarter, more prepared person, let's say, for the job, the engineering job, whatever it is. But it's not good for that person, and but this is how we have all this stuff, man. The reason we're able to do what we're doing right now is because people applied their intellect to all of this technology and built a system that's pretty damn incredible. So like we have to just kind of say, okay, this is what it is, right? You got to see it from so many perspectives. And hey, Elijah, are you there? Just want to make sure this is all working correctly.
Yeah, I'm there. I I just had a question about, I just remember when I was a student, you know, at the career fair, I never felt like what you're saying with G, and just, like parents hoping that their children gets this job and it possibly being taken by others. I just remember as a student, I never felt that threat when I would go to the career fair and interview. I just always felt the pressure to just get a job or just to show my dad that I can get a job, but I never felt the threat of like competition from others, especially like those that are international, which is just interesting. Like it's not something that I perceived as a student.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. I didn't feel it either, actually.
But people are really feeling that,
Well,
you think, like students?
I think I don't know that students themselves feel it, but I think it's a sentiment about people coming and taking jobs, right? They're not
Right.
thinking, hey, but they're better prepared than I am, and they're going to help build these companies and industry here in my country, and that's going to be beneficial for everybody. I don't think many people are really thinking that. And if you
Right.
really kind of have a sense of what has happened, it's pretty profound.
Mm. That's interesting, like the difference or like the comparison between like what's felt and like
Yeah.
what the sentiment is.
Yeah. I hear that.
It definitely feels
But
huh.
but those numbers are really striking, right? I mean, it's 100 in that 15-year period, 180,000 PhDs in the STEM fields. That's just PhDs. That's not undergrad and master's degrees and so on. Just
Right.
PhDs, and 76%. So 3/4 of the people stayed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Took jobs
Yeah.
here. They worked for U.S. companies or worked for multinational companies, but in the United States, they paid taxes here. The patents that they opened, the patents that they supported developing, even if it wasn't their own patent, but the company they're working for, all was meant profits and revenue coming back into the U.S. The trillions of dollars. Man, it's really
Wow.
striking. We are in a global system, and right now we're trying to, in a way, go backwards into more of a national state-based system, and it's just very, very difficult. I don't
Like
see that we'll be able to do that, but
for example, like when you say going back to a national system, like instead of being 77% international that are in STEM PhD positions, more like 50%
yeah,
or
something like that.
40.
Yeah, and like
Got it.
like that we're gonna try. It's like in the United States, it's almost like, well, we're gonna try to do this on our own. It's like, well, I just don't know that things are gonna happen way too fast, and way
Is
too
that
fast.
I'm not super caught up on the history, but one thing I remember is like um a certain president at the time, I think it was like in the 40s or 50s,
Mm-hmm.
where they were huge on like we're not going to be helping a lot of other countries. We're going to be focused very, very internally.
Mm-hmm.
I forget if that was like the 40s or 50s when they weren't doing as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't want to support, and I can't remember if like that was
Well,
helpful economically or if that hurt us as a
we're
country.
right. We're just in different times, right? So
Right,
we were not a global system in the way that we are today. And
right.
like I read this. Here's a piece that back in 2010, I just found this graph about AI patents, right? And so AI, so we go back to 2010 at the very beginning of thinking about AI and the patents. The U.S. had like 40% of the patents back then, and China had 13%. But in 2023, of all the patents related to AI, China now has 70% of them in 2023,
Wow.
and the U.S. has
Wow.
14. And like,
That's crazy.
yeah, and like, okay, a lot of the Chinese patents are only they're only protected within China. They're not protected elsewhere. But nonetheless, man, 70% of patents related to AI. So you see it. You just like, come on, man. So basically, what we'd be saying is, hey, let's take all these like Chinese scholars, and basically saying, you stay home in China, you do your thing there, and they're like, okay, this is great for the Chinese economy. It's great for the Chinese government. They've been trying to keep these folks home for a long time, man.
Wow.
But what a way to just say, like, hey, China, we're going to help you. Instead of stealing away some of your best talent, we're going to force it to stay home. I mean, it's just like, it's just kind of crazy. I don't know how else to think about it, personally. Like, I really don't know how else to think about that.
Would you assume that's just like a risk, if they're like if they're weighing the risks and the pros, that's just one that they're willing to take, you think? Or
Well, I think it's
not
just
very measured?
It's just politics has gotten involved, man. And so once politics is involved, it just makes it really. People just do things in spite of themselves, And I get that. Like sometimes, like I get in an argument with Lori. I'm like, I know I don't need to be in this argument, but she made me angry, and I'm just gonna fight with her. You know what I mean? And I'm like, stop. Like, just stop. So this is kind of one of those things, and I think a lot of support for the politics as we see it comes from there. I think.
Okay, I was at first, before you gave the analogy, I was thinking like for them it's the image that's more important than the result, like the image of politics, like the message that they're trying to create.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Like, right, like the representation.
Whatever. It's like golfing, and I try to hit through the trees. I'm gonna hit through the trees. I'm like, dude, don't do it. Don't do it. It's like, no, I got space. It's like, dude, there's one branch there. Your golf ball is guaranteed to hit that branch, man. It's just like guaranteed. Just don't do it. All right, man. Listen, hey, Steven, I'm going to hop you out of here and bring somebody else in. All right?
Yep, sure. No
All
problem.
Right, sounds good. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, we got it.
All right. Hey, cool. Jason. Jason, you are in, man. You're in Discord.
What's up?
Yo, how you doing?
Oh, no, that was me.
Oh, all right. Hang on.
He's coming. You can hear him.
All right. Hey, Jason. How's it going?
Oh, you're a little muffled, Jason.
Okay. Am I on now?
Yeah, you're on.
Yep.
How's it going? Hey, this is like
it's going well.
This is like one of those old radio talk shows. Like, let's bring a caller in. Like, hey, Jason.
You just won $7,000.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Now you just have to answer these 5 questions
to win your prize. Hey, Jason, where
Not
are
a
you?
problem. Currently, I'm in Northern California,
Ah, very cool.
but
Awesome.
an area we like to call the great state of Jefferson.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that? Why is
It is an area that's very conservative compared to the rest of California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like Austin, Texas is the only liberal part of Texas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People go to Austin. They move there to go to, like, University of Texas, and they think, or whatever it is, and think like, oh, Texas is really pretty. Wow. It's pretty not what I expected.
Open and yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
I have heard that about Austin. I also, Sam, with your comedy, that's like a big comedy hub now.
Yeah,
Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I know. I just gotta have a funny routine. I think it might be.
Yeah, we'll go to the mothership.
Hey, Jason, what are you thinking? Did you watch class yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, what'd you think about that? What do you think about that argument?
I thought it was an interesting one. I grew up down there along the border of San Diego and Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've seen a lot of change when it comes to the immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are upset about problems they had no clue about until they were told about problems.
Mm.
Um, so, I'm kind of along the lines of an open border, so to speak. However, what we have in the last 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
there was I saw what was the logistic lines
Yeah.
throughout Mexico
Yeah.
that supported the immigrants coming up across.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, without that support, they weren't able to make it. So there's a natural barrier there with Mexico that prevented immigration for a long time.
Yeah, you know what? That's something that people don't, that has really changed, right? There have been these sort of behind the scenes logistics of these organizations, like in Mexico. Some of it is with the cartels and so on, but the logistics of moving people getting from one place to another, that wasn't in place 20 years ago. I mean, you had coyotes, but not like today. You know,
Not like today.
yeah, yeah, and you have these cell phones, man. Like when Lori and I went over the border in Ciudad Juarez, I think is where we had a conversation with this one guy who came up from Honduras or Guatemala, and like he had he had this cell phone that he was just like connected back home, connected elsewhere on the border, talking to someone on the other side of the border. It was like this phone was his logistics to do that. And it just allowed him to make progress in terms of getting over the border illegally, right? It gave him
Right?
the opportunity to do things that he never would have been able to do 15 years ago. So, yeah, so you're right. Like so much has changed. Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest changes is in 75 when we first moved down there. My backyard is on the Tijuana River bottom,
Uh-huh.
and a mile from along there is the actual Mexican border.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mexican border in 75 was a 3-wire cattle fence.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it.
Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you go there and look at it today, and it's like not even the same border. It's
Yeah.
so locked down. These all, I think they're putting in 3 layers of walls now or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why are we having all these issues when
Yeah.
there used to not be an issue?
Yeah. And also back in 75, this is after the Bracero program, right? But people would just go back and forth, right? Just back and forth, not just every day, but
Easily.
People who are working in agriculture sort of go up and around and spend a couple months in the
Right.
U.S. and then go back home and yeah. Huh. Hey, what do you think? You said something when you first started talking, though, that people, the problems, even just going back for the past 10 years or so, let's say, right? There have been a lot of problems, but they weren't publicized and people didn't really know about it. People on the border did, and people talked about it, but across the United States, most people didn't talk about it. And then the problems became political, and then they
Right.
are talked about in the news, and then everybody gets involved and everybody has an opinion. But not a lot
Right.
has changed in the past 10 years or so, let's say.
Other than making people more scared,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's about the only thing I see with the news going on is they're making people more afraid of what they don't know and understand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous. I feel sorry for a lot of my friends that live on that side of the border and have to endure what they do to come to this side to work every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and there's U.S. citizens that live in Tijuana just because of the cost factor
Yeah.
compared to San Diego. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. When we were in Ciudad Juarez, there was a guy that was going into Mexico with a birthday cake for, I think it was his niece, and gonna go celebrate the birthday. And I'm like, oh, it was on a Sunday, And this was like 1 p.m. It's like, well, and I say, well, are you coming back? He's like, yeah, I'll come back around 5 or 6 o'clock. But once in a while, the border gets clogged up. And he said, I could be waiting here for 2 or 3 hours. And I
Yeah.
don't really know. That's the problem. It used to be really predictable. I would know exactly how long it's going to take me to come back and forth. And
Jason, when you were saying that like the media is making people fearful, especially for the ones that just don't understand. If I heard you correctly, like you used to live close to it, so I guess like
Right.
my question would be like what don't people understand that like you kind of understand about being close to the border?
Well, first off, most of the people that were first coming across were migrant workers back in like 75 to 85. There's another picture that I sent to Jeff that shows the border in 85 as well. It's still a 3-wire cattle fence, but the bull ring that's just on the other side has a wall built around it. To help keep people sneaking into the bull ring.
Wow, okay.
So,
And so there's a wall outside of the boundary. Like there's like 2 walls essentially. One's a wall and one's like a fence,
well,
you were saying in 85.
in 85, there's in both 75 and 85 pictures that I sent to Jeff, there's a bull ring in the background where they do bullfighting.
Oh,
And that sits right there on the border and the most southwesterly part of the United States. And so we would be able to go over, sneak across the border, and sneak into the bull ring. And then they built a wall around the bull ring so you couldn't sneak in anymore.
Oh, so they put a wall around the bull ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
Interesting.
But you can still see in the picture, there's still the cattle fence that's there. So it's a lot of the people that were coming across were mostly your migrant workers.
Yeah.
And even the ones that were crossing illegally did not want to do anything to do with the neighborhood or the surrounding people. The news has you believing that they're these people that are breaking in and stealing and robbing and that kind of stuff. I would play hide and go seek in 75 in this apartment complex. And before we go into a hiding spot, as children, we'd yell La Migra. And the immigrant workers would run out of the hiding spot, take off down the street further, and we'd go hide in their spots.
As kids.
So the perception that the news is portraying to everybody as to who these people are and what they're coming across for is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it has changed, right? Like, so it was in the 80s, the late 80s when we started to see lots of immigrants from Central America and South America.
Right.
Mid 80s from where Ecuador is where I lived, and so many people were coming up. But over the years, it primarily has been Mexico, and it's so much back and forth.
And they were seasonal workers, so they, in the springtime, they'd come across, they'd work the fields, they get their money, then they go back across and spend the winters in Mexico.
Yeah. You know what? I remember Lori and I back in probably 2007, maybe 2008, we were in Puebla. And I lived in Mexico City back in 86, I guess it was. And I went to Puebla many times. It's a little city south of Mexico City. But in 2007 or 2008, we were there. And it was evening time. It was the middle of the week. And we were sitting in the central square having a beer. Really beautiful. It's a Central Park. I think the Parque Calderon or something. And people just came out. They're doing their nightly stroll. And they were just doing their rounds around. Everybody was dressed up. These are all the Mexicans living in Puebla. And just circling the park, man, kids and elderly, the people all dressed men in their cowboy hats and cowboy boots, all the men, and Lori and I were sitting there realizing this is what happens every night. And
Yep.
everybody was so happy. The vendors were out, they were selling things, and I thought, none of these people want to come. They don't want to live in the U.S., man. Like, this is a cool little town, a little city, and it felt so awesome. It was so cool to be there, and I just had that sense of like, look, people don't want to just pick up and go somewhere when they're living these really good lives, and most people are living good lives. So
Right.
yeah, it was really fascinating, and
Right.
such dignity, and all the men, and so many men in their Pancho Villa mustaches and stuff. It was just so cool. We were like,
It sounds like the both of you were saying because you were both exposed to like the humanity
yeah,
of it, and it's like, oh, if people were just exposed to like this humanity, they wouldn't have these narratives
well, and some of the narratives
as
are
much.
true, right? I mean, obviously the cartels are involved in smuggling people over. That's a
Right.
problem. People are smuggling drugs over. When I talked to the migra on the border, every place we stopped on the border, the number one thing was just drugs, man. Like, damn,
Oh yeah.
fentanyl, and
One of the things that when they first started to build the wall, we laughed about is that the cartel already had tunnels.
yeah, yeah, going under, yeah,
So the tunnels were there before the wall.
yeah.
Oh
It's so
wow.
crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard. The point being, and I think, Jason, you're really making this point as well, that you gotta be there. You have to see the complexity of it all. Yeah.
Right.
It's far more complex. Yeah.
That it is. And that's something that I've carried with me for most of my life in my travels. And that I don't allow what other people tell me about an area not to go into. I'll go into that area and judge it for myself.
Yeah.
And it's always completely different from what the other people tell you about it.
Yeah.
That was actually. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No. This is what I'm trying to always do in my class, and I don't know. I mean, I get it wrong, right? Things are also more complex than I make them, and I miss things. I miss a lot of stuff, and I get that, but I'm trying to do this thing as much as I possibly can, which is like, hey, just see it from this other perspective. I've just spent my entire life having as many experiences as I possibly can, and like sitting there in Puebla at 5 p.m. in the middle of the week and just watching the entire town come out and just go around in circles around this park. And I mean, probably 2,000 or 3,000 people, just circling. Other people don't have that kind of experience. So, I don't know, but I get it.
Right.
The idea of a siesta is no kidding down there. They take their afternoon siestas in the night.
Yeah. And it works, man. It works. Yeah.
And siesta is just like gathering, essentially. Just
Yeah,
like
it's the
little.
middle of the day. No, it's the middle of the day. Take a nap, man. Like Spain still does this, right? Things close down, and you go home. You go home for your almuerzo, your midday meal. You go home anywhere from like 12:30 to 1. And so let's say you're home by 1. You have your meal, and then things open back up 3:30 to 4. And then say around 4 o'clock, all the stores, everything opens back up, and then it's open till, let's say, 8 o'clock or so, and then that's it. But that middle of the day, man, you just chill. It's hard. I don't like it. I don't like taking naps in the middle of the day, but you know, it's nice to just go home. You get 2.5, 3 hours.
Like the feeling that we get when, like, if you're like get off work at like 5 o'clock for like the average 9 to 5, that relief that some people might get, like, oh, I'm off work, or
Yeah.
you know, for them it's like that's what they get during the middle of the day.
Middle of the day, man. And it's
Got it.
yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Yeah.
That is.
That was my favorite part of Spain. And that the things closed down. I mean, not everything, but small stores for sure. The big department stores don't, but the banks are closed. Small stores are
The
closed.
mom and pop places do.
Yeah. And
Wow, in the middle of the day, they close up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Mexico, a lot
There's some-
that will happen.
There's some small towns that the entire town still closes down.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, for a few hours, that's so legit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, in the middle of summer, man, you know, it really matters because that's the heat of the day. So you want to, you know, kind of relax a little bit.
Ah, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
I was curious, just because I feel like the perspective that you have, Jason, I would assume like it would be different based on like the region that you're in. Like, do you encounter, like, what are the conversations that you have like around this kind of topic in like a more conservative region? And
I have a very interesting perspective about the immigration and a whole lot of different subjects, going into race relations and that kind of stuff as well.
Right.
And I feel that I've benefited from growing up as a military brat, where I got to travel around the United States and was introduced to all kinds of different people, all kinds of different ethnicities, backgrounds, the whole 9 yards. And I guess the main thing that I came out with it is that those people that had anger against me because of how I looked were doing it out of fear and ignorance.
Uh-huh.
Where those who judged me more for my actions had their thoughts changed as to how to perceive someone like me. And I think that a lot of people need to do more traveling in life, getting out and meeting people to I guess dispel the myths that they have about other societies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest arguments that I get into in this region is about Muslims.
Okay,
Our neighbor next to us is Muslim. Very nice guy, friendly, everything. The people that I live with, have this. They have two faces. I think I referred to this a while back in one of the casts about the Japanese philosophy and the three faces that everyone has.
Okay.
So these people are showing my Muslim friend one face, being friendly, open, talking to them, socializing with them. But then when they get back to the campfire where they're more with their own kind of people that they grew up with, their true face comes out, and they are not. Ignorance is a blissful word for them.
And so, like,
it comes down to what they've been told. They have no idea. They only know what they've been told.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's like, but that's like I think even, right now we see it with liberals and conservatives and so on. I hear so many people talking about MAGA people, like MAGA people this and MAGA people that. And
right.
I'm like, have you ever met a MAGA person? You know what I mean? Have you ever talked to anybody? They have no heart. They have no whatever. And I'm like, well, have you ever met somebody? Like, I don't know.
Have you sat down and actually talked with one of them?
Yeah, yeah. And usually they have, and I'm like, well, who is it? So it's my uncle. I'm like, yeah, well, then what about your uncle? Does he walk around kicking puppies for a hobby or something? It's like, no, like I don't know. It's just like, we have that. It's a very strange thing, but it's hard to stay open minded all the time, man. I struggle with it. I try to on so many
Yeah,
things, man. Yeah.
it's and it like seems and I think well because what I understand from Sam's story and what I'm hearing from your story is like you guys were both exposed at like a pretty early age. It's not like being an army baby, and then Sam just all the traveling you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like the early exposure, but not to say that you can't learn things as you go older. But
It's harder though, man. You can learn things, but it's harder to. It becomes more difficult to keep your mind pliable and flexible as we age. Really, you would think it would
right,
be easier, right? But what it calls for is we have to look back in our lives and recognize all the places where we were narrow-minded and where we got it wrong, man.
right,
Man, and that
right.
it just takes a lot of humility and a lot of grace in a way. For me, it's just been, I think about things that I've talked about in class or said or whatever, how I used to discuss a subject and how, oh my God, I just got it so wrong. Oh my God. Sometimes I don't even want to think back to a
Right,
lot
you're like
of
reflecting
stuff.
on embarrassing moments, it sounds like.
Oh, it's terrible.
You, for you.
Yeah, it's so humbling. So, and even now, I suppose I'll look back to now. I don't know. Maybe it's even the class yesterday. I might look back and, like maybe in a couple years or maybe a couple weeks, couple months. I don't know. I might look back at that. You used all those data, but you totally got it wrong, man. You missed everything. And I'm like, shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. That's the thing. All right. Listen. Hey, Jason, thanks for hopping on, man. I appreciate talking to you.
Sure thing.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. All right. Take care, man. Yeah.
You too.
Hey, I'm going to bring Ian on in a second. So, Ian,
Cool.
you can get ready. This is really good, I think. Jeff and Elijah.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
It is, yeah. It's the different voices just coming through and getting to meet everybody and
Yeah.
the topics change. We really get to see. It's like the chat coming to life for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I actually want to talk to Gandalf. Is who I would like to talk to. So
Wait, I don't even see that
in the chat.
the-
Yeah, Gandalf isn't in office hours. He's not in office hours, but he's in the chat. I really want to. So Gandalf, if you feel like talking, hop into Discord. Jeff will give you the.
Yeah.
Hey Ian, how's it going? Wait, hang on.
Might be getting situated for a second.
Yeah. You gotta like switch off the. Yeah. Once again, man, I'm like one of those
It's
AM
complex.
late night AM radio hosts. Like, oh, we're gonna bring our next caller.
Right. And like when in between the callers were like, and this call is sponsored by.
Yeah. No, it's
Try
actually,
AG1.
Yeah. Cool. Ian, are you there? Let's see.
We just heard you.
No, I think.
Does that work better?
Yeah, there you are, man. Good.
There we go.
There you are. We got
Okay,
you.
I just
Perfect.
closed out YouTube.
There you are, man. How's it going?
What's up?
Pretty good. Let me see. How do I up my volume real quick?
Yeah, we got to boost your volume just a little bit. Yeah.
Give me just a minute.
All right. That's one of the things, man, that makes this stuff really. But what's wild is that all of this technology is available. Really to anybody. It's pretty. It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Right.
Is that
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Just speak loud. Speak close to your microphone. Yeah, you can.
okay? Yeah, I found class really pretty insightful yesterday, and I had a talk with SKDR about the immigration issues.
Uh huh.
that's I was on Discord with him yesterday as well. And I don't like the fact that a lot of the media keeps saying, and this is on both sides, where they say that Americans don't want to do the jobs that the immigrants are going to do. Because I mean, if you think back to it, I'm not as old as you are. No offense intended, but you you took the job that you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've worked with immigrants, and because I grew up military, but then I went to a poor neighborhood in Florida, and I hung drywall, I picked oranges,
Yeah.
and those people got paid by the bushel or by the piece by hanging drywall, and you made a killing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. You look, if you, I think the thing is, I mean, people look when the economy goes south, people are gonna take the jobs they gotta. They're gonna take the jobs they have, man. I mean, that is true. You're gonna do that. I mean, you're gonna take whatever you need to take. I think the issue is that when you're here without papers, man, you're going to do anything at all. Doesn't matter. You're not going to question. You're not going to think about it. I was listening to this guy who is doing chicken processing in a plant. It is just brutal work, man. Just killing chickens one after another after another. It's cold. It's brutal. It's just tough. And people take the jobs. They pay well, but people just don't stay, man. They just move on and they do something else. But in the end, he always can rely on a certain number of people who don't have working papers. Well, he was able to rely on them. That's less true now, and they're going to work and they're not going to complain, man. And I think that there is a difference there. Yeah.
I actually worked in a chicken factory for Tyson, and the entire, basically inside of the factory was all Spanish-speaking people. So they're all immigrants, and I was over there bagging turkeys just like they were, and it was brutal. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And the labor-intensive jobs, I don't know if it's because we've become a more service-orientated economy that we don't want to take the jobs, but any of the low-income people, we're out there taking all those jobs.
Yeah. It's just that what we see is we do see a lot of movement between jobs, but people always just like getting, like the chicken processing, right? Chicken processing. You just like imagine, you just get burned out by one and you move to another one. But
is that what happened with you, Ian? Was it like kind of like a burnout and left?
Left
that job? Or?
Yeah, like when you left that job, where'd you go? What was your next one?
Oh, well, at that time I was working for a day labor company. And so basically you showed up and go to work wherever they put you. And sometimes you would get into jobs like at Tyson to where you could have some stability as long as you showed up. And then other times when they need you, you had to go do other work. And I worked so many different kinds of jobs between construction, chicken factories. I worked at mines, all kinds of stuff.
Did you see a lot of turnover when you were at like the chicken processing manufacturing center, or was it just?
No, I mean the people that I did get to know that could speak a little bit of English, they were there and they were staying there. I didn't see really a high turnover rate. The high turnover rate was from the labor company because everybody that worked at the day labor was doing drugs.
Right.
Got it.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's intense, man. It's really intense. The issues are so complicated. Man.
Where are you from, Ian?
Well, right now I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, but like Jason before, I'm a military brat, so I moved around to different countries, and then my dad kicked me out at 13, and I lived in Florida, in rural Florida, for I don't know half of my life, and then moved up here in 2008.
Wow, did you were you like on your own essentially after at 13? Where did you when you went to
No,
Florida?
I had some grandmas.
Got it. Okay.
My grandmother lived 8 miles out of town. My grandfather got Social Security and worked as well. So, yeah, that's how we
Or-
survived.
Got
Hey,
it.
man.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
No, and rural Florida is tough, man. It's hot.
Well,
It's
you've seen him on the news, probably, or on YouTube. Grady Judd.
uh-huh.
I was in Polk County, but I was in Lake Wales, which is a small town in Polk County,
Uh-huh.
and then we live 8 miles out of town. So, and my uncle had a 30,000 acre ranch,
Uh-huh.
and I'd go work out there, and there were orange groves.
Uh-huh.
That's all those around orange groves.
Yeah. Man,
But
it's like this is one of these things about the United States, that it's such a complicated land. It's so diverse. There's so many different layers of life here that people who travel here for a very short period. I mean, it's true everywhere, right? But this is such a uniquely complicated, diverse place. Man, I've driven through that area, so I know it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know it, but I know what I'm seeing when I'm driving through, and it's a tough place, man. Yeah.
I think of it like the United States is the size of it is bigger than Europe, but when you're driving through it, it's like going through separate countries in Europe.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're all really different.
Yeah.
Can you guys help me picture it? Like Sam, what are you picturing when you said you drive through it? That makes it tough.
Well, first off, man, there's a lot of poverty in Central Florida. We have people go to Florida and they think Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale and Naples and north of Tampa or south of Tampa, and we had so many people have the Tallahassee, that it's like a really wealthy state because that's what they see. But you go inland, and you can also be on the shore, just away from the wealthy areas, and there's so much. It's working class, depressed wages, and a lot of poverty. Man, it's just small houses, tiny houses in the summertime. The heat's brutal. Fuck, it's just tough.
I grew up with no air conditioning.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and now everything, I go
in Florida.
Used to go past down the houses. Everybody's got at least a wall unit of air conditioning, but man, yeah, you didn't have air conditioning. It was tough. It's really, really tough, man.
There's that, and then, I mean, if you want to take my life down there, it was basically like Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah. Trailer Park Boys. Yeah. Yo, if you haven't ever seen the Trailer Park Boys, just start it from the beginning. It's a series. It was made up in Canada, I think Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or something. And really just brilliant mockumentary type TV series. It starts to go downhill with, I think, season 4. Really, it starts that they're just playing it out too much, but my God, the first 3 seasons are absolute brilliance. And you don't necessarily laugh out loud, but the characters are unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my life when I was down there.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
The immigration. I was talking to SKD again.
You just cutting out a little
think about
bit.
the H-2B visas. Is that better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
The H-2B visa, the farmer who brings the migrants in,
Yeah.
he pays for room and board,
Yeah.
transportation, all their bills. So basically, they're just making money, and they can just send it back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're getting a better deal than what people think that they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
These
No,
are
and
really
it,
cool insights.
I did a one of the papers I wrote back when I was studying immigration was looking at undocumented immigration. I just analyzed Mexico about like on U.S. foreign aid into Mexico, and I mean, for better or for worse, I mean, this is North America. The United States has been a land of, we're a people where we give out not a lot of foreign aid. It's like 2% of our national budget. It's not very much. And even most of that foreign aid is tied to something. We're paying U.S. companies and that sort of thing. But there's a humanitarian quality to that. And I did an analysis of how much of the money actually truly becomes foreign aid type money. Like people are, really using it to help build up Mexico, which is what we want. We want Mexico to thrive. Because when you have the country right next to you that's not thriving, people are going to come over the border to your country. So anyway, it was really, I did it, and now I don't know how I ran the numbers. I mean, this was back in 1985, I think, that I wrote that. But I'll always remember how it just awakened me to this idea. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, my life down there, it was good, and the immigration in Florida, even at that time, was pretty high because people were coming over on boats. But it wasn't seen as a giant problem. I think that the more of the people were racist towards Indians because they owned all the gas stations.
Right. The gas stations with the little tiny stores. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only problem that I ever had was, like I said earlier, was just the language barrier. If you're on a construction site and you can't say, "Hey, look out,"
Yeah.
and they understand you, then, or them to you, same thing.
Yeah.
That can cause a little bit of a problem. But other than that, I'd never had any problems with them. And like I said yesterday, I think we need a better path to citizenship to get people in, because we need migrants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. I think the problem is, when we have this political system that we have like these new administrations, they come in every 4 years or so, and Congress and so on. It just it makes it really difficult to have a consistent and a coherent policy over the long run, and to transform the current policy into something that's better, that makes sense, that the next administration isn't going to change. It's just really, that's one of the problems of the representative democracy that we have. I mean, it's a good thing, right? That, you want to keep moving new people into these positions of power, but at the same time, you move different ideas, and then that's going to change a lot of stuff. Biden comes in, he reverses all sorts of stuff that Trump did, and then Trump comes in and he reverses all sorts of stuff that Biden did, and some for the good, some for the bad, and that's as every system is good and bad. So.
But that hasn't happened except for like in the past, let's say 15 to 20 years, because before that we would have 2 runs of Republican and then 2 runs of Democrat. We haven't had this fight back and forth over that until here recently.
Yeah, well, also I think just politically speaking, we have not been as divided as we have been in the past 25 or so years, and especially 20 years, where the divisions are just so intense, man, that the working together becomes harder and harder to do. So, hey, listen, Ian, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna bring somebody else in. So, thanks for calling in, man. Thanks for watching the stream, and thanks for always asking a really good question during class. Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Hey, I'm gonna bring in
And this is brought
SKDR.
to you by.
What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna do our
Oh yeah, you got
ad.
to do the commercial. What is this one sponsored by? I'm gonna bring in
And
SKDR 257, by the way. So get ready. Yeah.
this program is brought to you by Social 19, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 3:05 to 4:20.
Dude, that's not a. We need
Please call in.
something that we can make money off of, right?
All right.
It's sponsored by Apple Computers.
Yeah. This is sponsored by the new MacBook Pro.
No, that last segment
Yeah.
was sponsored by Tyson Poultry
Chicken.
Processing. Yeah. We gave him a shout out.
And you get that Samsung
Yeah.
subscription.
Yeah.
What's up?
SKDR, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey,
Wait, is it like SK for short or?
No, yeah. So my name is Wentz. Kedar.
Wait, what's your
You
name?
said Wentz?
Yes, Wentz. And then
Got it.
Kedar. Sorry.
Oh, Wentz Kadar.
All right, cool, man. And where are you from?
Yeah, and then 257 is the country code for Burundi.
From Burundi.
Mhm.
Are you in Burundi right now?
No, I'm an international student actually.
Yeah. Where at?
Ohio,
In Ohio. Cool.
Dayton. Yeah.
In Dayton? University of Dayton?
No, Wright State University.
Ah, Wright State. Oh, okay. Wright State. I know Wright State. I was
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah.
What are you studying there? Is Wright State known for like a certain
Yeah,
college or?
it's a research thing. I've seen it's pretty much focused in research and nursing. But I'm doing computer engineering and economics.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yo, Dayton, man, Dayton is about as flat of a land as you're ever gonna see anywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
A lot of farmland over in Dayton.
Some areas, yes.
Okay.
And actually,
You-
but
you
it's
said-
also very built up. What'd you say?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. No, Sam was saying flat, and it just reminded me of like I thought flat land was like good for farming
Nah,
just
listen.
because
No,
of
no.
Lancaster or.
No, there's a lot of soybeans and corn and all that. It's just Ohio. I grew up in Dayton. I mean in Toledo, but my brother used to live, he was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base down there. So I spent time there.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Hey, so listen, wait, so can you do me a favor and write your name in the chat?
Yeah.
That way it'll just be easier for me. Man, it's so hard sometimes.
You can't read Wentz from SKDR,
Oh, Wentz.
Sam?
Oh yeah, Wentz. All right, I got
No,
it.
I'm just being fun. I'm being funny. Just with
Wentz. All right.
You,
All right. I got it. Yeah. Thanks. Man. Hey, so Wentz, what are you thinking? What question do you have, or what comment?
yeah, or just like what were you thinking about throughout?
Yeah. I was
Dialogue so
looking
far.
at the class yesterday, and I mean, for example, in the college, I mean, like at Wright State, when you were asking about if people actually feel the effect of immigration, I think they kind of do, but so not really. So for example, so like in Wright State right now, there's like a huge, not really huge, but like a significant amount of international students, especially from Asia, India, and Nepal, and everything. And we're not really that much. We're not even, I would say, even 500 in a university of maybe 11,000, I think 10,000. That's the whole campus. But most of them are not always on campus because they take classes like part time or whatever. But I mean, so because we're international students, though, we don't have like places to be. So most of the time we'll be on campus even during the summer times. So we'll hang out during campus on campus during most of the times. So you'll see. So for example, Africans were not really that much, but for like the Indian population where there's like 100 people, 150 people, you'll see a lot of buildings and like leisure areas. There's a lot of Indian students, and then you kind of see that the like Americans and the others are not really that much there. So if you see what I mean, so,
Yeah. So people.
there's kind of that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, there's kind of that. Oh, there's kind of a pressure, uh, but then if you see like actual opportunities being taken, I always think about this because so for example, they always do career fairs and everything, and because Dayton is this and Fairborn basically is this is basically most of the businesses, especially for like the College of Engineering, where I'm in, and where most of actually the international population is in. There's like they need American citizens or people who can get security clearances because most of there's a huge aggregation of uh, government contractors, military contractors. So and it's like we always go to career fairs and it will always be like, oh, we need yes, you can do OPT, but we need government clearance. People can get government clearances. So it's always funny to see how it feels. It's not really that much of a population, but because it's concentrated, it feels like there is, I don't know, an outsized influx of, I don't know, international students. But then there's no actually there virtually minimal opportunities taken because most of the jobs we can't actually get.
Wow. And you're saying mostly like government jobs? Are you being specific to like mostly government jobs? Or are you saying all jobs or many different jobs as well outside of government? It's
so
hard to
most so like we have northern government or something like the government contractors, and there's a bunch of other government contractors. This is like analytics, businesses, leaders. There's so many. I can list like 5 or 10 even that actually fund so for example the College of Engineering, which is where most of like the international students are in, because most of the international students come for engineering, electrical engineering, or mathematics, or computer science. Most is computer science actually. But then so and those the top employers for at Wright State, almost all of them are what's it called? Government. It's not really actually government, but it's government contractors. And you have to be.
So you really have got to be able to get security clearance, right? Or you got to get them to be willing to sponsor you, like with an H-1B visa, which costs them a lot of money, and then they're responsible for you, right? So let's say they do it for a year or 2 years, and that's difficult, man. And so you got to be really a top-notch student to have somebody even be willing to take a risk like that. But if you can't get a security clearance, then that's a problem. And being from Burundi, that's not going to be easy at all.
So from my perspective, it's always funny to kind of see, because I mean I can understand, because I always think now that I'm here, like because back at home it was obviously always people look like me and everything everywhere. And I can kind of understand if I think about it, if suddenly like I'm at high school or whatever, if there was a large influx of, I don't know, Europeans or some other group, we would kind of feel threatened, or not feel threatened, but there's kind of that sense of imbalance. It's not really that pronounced, but in the leisure areas you kind of see sort of a bit, because most other students are actually like most in-state students are from Ohio, so they'll mostly not live on campus, so they'll go back home for the summer or even after classes.
It's a big commuting school, right? There aren't a lot of dormitories there. Hey, so let me ask you this question: do you have this idea that it'd be really nice to work in the United States for a couple of years and then go back to Burundi?
Yes, but I wouldn't say it's the majority Like
Like
that's
you'd
what
most.
many people want to do.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to the United States. So to most people that I've talked to and most internationals, I think, is they want to get the especially the international students, they want to study here and everything, and then apply for that H-1B visa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because first of all, the fees that we pay, and we're out of state students, so it's almost double the fees that we pay. And I know, yes, we get scholarships, but basically, the scholarship is basically just bringing you to the cost of in-state.
Yeah.
And it's still a bit above, but so it's still like they didn't really change anything. And the in-state students are also getting the same scholarships and even Pell grants and everything.
Yeah.
But it's nice to even have that scholarship.
Yeah, totally.
And also be able to. Yeah.
So
I'm like, so I was saying, so the money invested is like going back home, like right after college, is almost not worth it. So I wouldn't think most people want to go home directly.
Yeah.
I would think most people actually want to find what's it called, H-1B visa jobs or whatever, and then if possible get to that green card level or everything. But most people, normally most people that come here as students want to do it, I guess legally. In that pathway, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at your level, like when you go to school, I mean, to get the kind of jobs that you would want to get, it's like you got it. It's going to be legally, because otherwise you're never going to be able to get a job that would be appealing in your field, you know? Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. It is really
but
complex. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. But then also you see, like I don't know how, but like today, and I think this plays into the way people see immigration as kind of a problem or encroaching on American opportunities, is the way many senior executives or everything are kind of now maybe non-American born, but like immigrated after. And for example, for the Indian population, is like most of them end up getting the green card or whatever, and then actually getting the positions, which is a huge brain drain from like the countries that are coming over. But also they end up I mean, if they work hard and everything, and which is not all of them, but like they end up getting to the top positions and everything, and it's like, the opportunities and everything.
Yeah. No, it's hard to not turn down the opportunities, right? I mean, obviously you can do so much more, but it is a brain drain, man. You know, like that is a thing. I mean, I see this in Haiti all the time. You know, just how much really good and smart and thoughtful people leave. People who are highly educated, and they leave, and then they come to the U.S. and they're doing work that doesn't allow them to even put to use their degrees and their skills and so on. And it really hurts the country at so many levels. Yeah.
And I think, for example, for Burundi, because Burundi is one of the poorest countries, I think.
Yeah.
And I would consider myself very lucky, even though we're not that rich relative to Burundi or even America, I don't know. But like, so the people that end up coming here from Burundi are mostly, if they're not brought here by the UN, they're mostly from people who went to what's it called? College. Were able to go to high school and everything, and then were able to get scholarship and come here.
Yeah. So
basically, it's literally almost complete brain drain, because most people, except for especially for those that are not from South America, that can not easily make the journey up to the US, those that come over, because you have to fly over and everything and all that, and even getting a ticket for one I don't know, flight and everything, that costs a lot. So those who end up coming here are the green card lottery. That's very few people, and they collect a lot of money, and they basically come here and do whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's the high school educated that come here to study, and then of course if you come here to study, you'll maybe take up a loan or whatever, and then you try as much to get as many degrees as you can, and I don't know, get that H1B or
Yeah.
try to work this year.
No,
But I
this,
think in my
go ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead.
in my view, I think I would like to go back at some point
Yeah.
after getting financially stable.
Yeah. You know, I just put in the chat the per capita income in Burundi is $220 USD a year. Man, I mean, you know, it's just like, yeah, it's really, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, but that's also kind of misleading because
yeah,
things are also very cheap. Things are also very, very cheap.
yeah. Also, there's also, it's an agrarian economy, and so a lot of people aren't working in the cash economy. So
Yeah,
that's sort of that's not like 220 US
true.
dollar like we think about it here. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Some most people, not most. Yeah, actually, most people are still are doing subsistence farming, which means
Yeah.
they're basically not earning that much,
Yeah.
or even if they're earning that, they only earn enough to buy what they're not growing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
only sell the excess to buy what they're not growing, which is, oh yeah,
and
so it's kind of
and operating on the barter system. So, you know, you're taking lots of the what you grow and animals you can raise and trade, and yeah, so it's a really complex number, but still.
yeah. But mostly, I think the fight against immigration is kind of a distraction to the greater problems that the US will still face. Because as I think the other people were saying, like sending back people to China or wherever is that's as bad as a thing that you would do, considering they're basically getting closing the gap or the lead that the US has in almost every sector, whether it be electricity, solar, space, almost everything. And I think the Chinese, one of the reasons I think they've been able to skyrocket is being pushed out. Because for example, I was looking at the space station and I was like, okay, there's the ISS, which is an incredible, like it's a wonderful that we have a space station just wandering like in space. And I was like, the Chinese are not in this ISS or whatever. And then I looked at theirs and I was like, oh, they built their own. Why? Because they were not allowed in, so they built their own, and their own it's newer, and it was much better built compared to the other to the ISS, which is almost about to retire. And I'm like,
yeah, it's intense, man. It's so intense. God, yeah, that's cool. All right, listen, man, I'm gonna hop off. Hey, thanks. We're gonna bring Gandalf in. So thanks, Wentz, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for listening.
of
Yeah,
course.
thanks so much. Come back.
All right, man. Good luck, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Out there in Ohio, the hinterlands.
It's almost the exam season.
Yeah. Good luck with your finals. Yeah. All right. Take care, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Before you bring on Gandalf, I finally have internet. I don't know if it's any better, but it's a good feeling when you call a maintenance person over and they explain that they're having the same issues, and then they do some investigation and they're like, yeah, we found an issue, but it really sucks because now it's probably going to be hundreds of dollars for me to replace a bunch of internet cables through my house.
Yeah.
But at least, at least I'm not crazy. And they were like, no, there's no problem. At least they're like, yeah, there's a problem. It's a diagnosable fixed thing. Yeah. But I feel so stupid because they were like, we can come at from 2 to 4. And I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. And completely forgot we had freaking office hours. Yeah. So my apologies, everybody, for...
that's all right, dude. No, you got me. It meant that I had to take off the training wheels and step up. Put on the big boy pants.
I said I was going to have chat going. I was going to have Minecraft in the background for you all with Sam's video on the side. Like, I had it all planned out.
We'll do that.
And I
did
a speed test.
We'll do
and my speed test said upload speed was 1 megabyte a second. And I was like, well, I can't stream with that. So
All right,
You
man.
said big boy pants. So this also quick break. This podcast is brought to you by Wrangler jeans.
Now we just
But only
gotta
their
we just gotta get
only their
Wrangler to
short
give us
section.
money, man.
we only accept jorts as what we'll model for you in class.
Yes.
All right. Hey, Gandalf or Matt, which one should we use?
You can call me Matt.
All right.
It's my real name.
So nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I saw your video a few years ago during the COVID times,
Uh-huh.
and then I started following you. Yeah, and then I saw a few of your lectures. So refreshing. It's like finally someone actually pay attention to Asian immigrants. Like,
Yeah.
oh, always get hurt. And
Yeah,
then
that's cool.
later on, we got busy and didn't watch too much of your videos. Yeah, but yeah, I'm super excited. You can ask me any questions. I'm actually Chinese immigrant stay in Canada for over 20 years. I started university here, and then I found a job here, and then I went back to China to get married, and then I brought my wife came here, and then we have kids, and we have like normal life here. So I have like perspective from both Western kind of view and also from Chinese point of view. Like I know both sides point of view.
Yeah,
So
that's very cool. Hey, where are you in Canada, by the way?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay, Toronto. Hey, so let me ask you. So one of the first things you watched, I think I was looking at the chat, was that video that we did on Asian men and dating. Yeah.
Yeah, that has a huge impact on me because that's so true. Because nobody knows. Like I had difficult time when I was studying in university in Canada. At that time, there are not too many Asian girls and Asian men. But for Asian girls, especially the pretty ones, there's so many competitors. Like
Yeah.
from any other ethnic groups. So you have to really stand out. You have to be handsome and outgoing character and charming. And also have you need to be rich. Like it's really hard to compete with those guys. Those guys drive fancy cars, and the guys with some Asian girls, they like to explore the culture, right? They want to talk to other ethnic group. Like so if you're just Asian man, like you're not super attractive,
Yeah.
it's really difficult.
It's crazy.
So
It's so interesting, right? You remember what the video was on, right? I brought like 3 just average East Asian men. I think they were Chinese and Korean, and then ask you women to tell us which one they thought was most handsome, and so women, they don't know, they have no idea, because they don't see Asian men, white women or black women, they don't see Asian men as even desirable in any way. Like they don't have any opinion even,
Is that the YouTube video where you I remember you were and there was an Asian man that was in the crowd, and you were like, he has to make 10 times more
Yeah.
than than his like white male counterpart.
Yeah. So that would be like Matt here. Matt could, in order to be seen as an eligible possible like person to date, Matt would have to make, like 10 times the amount of the average white guy,
yeah, I think part of the reason is because like a lot of the Asian men, like they like international students, the English is not so great, and they don't know how to start a conversation, and like they see
Right.
attractive girls and like Asian female that's born in Canada, and then even them, if their English is not good enough, they don't want to speak a Mandarin with you, and then you feel shy, and then you don't know how to approach them. So the only choice you have is the international female students, and they are not interested in you because they have so many choices. Like all the other competitors from on outside group, like you really have to stand out to be like really handsome or rich or have good personality to get attention. So that I really had a
have you noticed though? Well, you wouldn't know because you married a woman from China, right? Your wife is Chinese, but you know what I'm hearing though is with the rise of Korean culture, K culture, and you know, growing numbers of people watching K dramas and K film and so on. That there's and K-pop, paying attention because it's different. Because Chinese, we're not seeing many Chinese dramas and Chinese music here, like pop music. Although C-pop is so popular, right? We're not really seeing it here. Anyway, there's so many more men who are being presented as sex symbols, Asian men, East Asian men, like Korean men, that this has changed a little bit over the course of the past, 5 to 6, 7 years when I did those videos, right? Matt, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that did help. I remember I was in university, my second year, there was a Indian girl in the same dorm building. She asked me, "Hey, are you Korean? Do you know Korean? Do you know how to speak Korean?" "No, I'm Chinese." Oh, it's just like she think if I'm Korean, because at that time Korean drama or K-pop was really popular.
Yeah, it was really taking off. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Korea spent like their government invested a huge amount of resource in the entertainment industry. It started in like 70s or 80s. So the industry is getting very good. It's at the beginning they copy from Japan entertainment industry, and then it gets successful. And now it's like the top of in the industry in the East Asia.
Yeah.
And China is copying the Korean shows.
Yeah.
China, but they have also some limitations by the government. They cannot made a movie that's they have to pass the like they cannot shoot any kind of movies, right? So
right,
there's limitations, but it did help. The K-pop did help improving the image of the Asian men.
yeah.
At least people know there are actually some hot guys in Asia. Not all of us look like those guys portrayed in the American movies. It's like
it is really interesting to go. If you watch a lot of Korean dramas and Korean films or K-pop, you pay attention, right? And you see people, the image of the people who become the celebrities. And then you go and you just see all the average people that are, you're not seeing those folks, right? It's a really interesting thing because a lot of people, there was a video that got really popular here because this woman, it was a spoof video in a way. I think it was. I think she was playing.
Yeah. I've seen that video too.
Where she starts showing all the average looking Koreans, It's like, wait, where are all the really beautiful Koreans, that I see in my K dramas and K-pop and
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I just had a question, Matt. Are you saying that like the way that they portray Asian men in K dramas versus like how they would portray Asian men in American films were like they would make Asian men less desirable in like American films? Is that how you perceive like what you saw?
Yeah, because like 20 years ago, when I first come to Canada, I watched a lot of shows on TV, right? It's almost every American movie I watched, as long as there's an Asian man, you really hard to find an attractive Asian man,
yeah.
right? It's also like act like a clown to make to get add some comedy to the movie.
Yeah.
The only exception is like Jackie Chan, and also Jackie Chan is like has some comedy, and then I remember there's a movie like Jet Li or Jackie Chan or something like Jet Li is supposed to kiss the white actress at the end of the movie after the fight, but then the director worried that some American viewer will not like it, so they cut that scene. Like they cancel the part that actually kiss the white girl. They think, oh, some people will not like it. So that's like you can tell, like you can understand, like we are the minority, right?
Yeah,
so we are. That's the fate of the minority. People will not enjoy watching a minority become the main character.
And
even you are
wow.
And so and Asian women, we're talking East Asian, not South Asian, but East Asian women were able to be seen. They were seen as more exotic by Hollywood and so on, and so it was easier. They made the first breakthrough, and the last group, man, was East Asian men, really. And now, of course, you see East Asian men in leading roles and so on. It's quite fascinating.
And that was the term they used back then, right? Exotic, like.
Yeah, well, now of course, but now you have with all like the K-pop, like you think of like BTS and so on, right? I mean, this just changes things, right? And BTS really pushed it forward. They were the K-pop group that really just blew open the doors. But yeah, it's just
you had a prediction with that.
Yeah.
I think the percentage of the pretty girl and pretty man in each ethnic group is about the same.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's just a matter of how we decide what is and is not desirable. What are the features that are or are not desirable? Yeah, every group. It's the morphology of bodies and faces and so on, and we just make those determinations randomly.
Sam, that brings me to the conversation that you, Pedro, and I had at that dinner at Ale House about the idea of beauty. You were giving us a story about Lori and you, and I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe. What was I saying?
You're like how you don't usually you don't see beauty.
Oh,
like you were saying.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Which is it's just interesting how we're getting into this combo. It just sparked that memory.
Yeah, I see beauty like a sociologist for me.
Right.
Like I don't. So Matt, the thing is, like I'm a I know that beauty is socially constructed. It's just the things we agree upon. And so the things that we see are beautiful, or the things we've been told are beautiful or handsome or whatever it is, But I've been a sociologist in a way my whole life, and so I don't look at people and think, oh, that person's really handsome or that person's really beautiful, because I know that it's just a criteria or images that have been put in my mind. And I don't like to follow the things that are put in my mind. That's why I'm able to do what I do, I think, as a sociologist, that I'm outside the box. So people will ask me if do I think my wife is beautiful? And I'm like, no, not at all. She's not beautiful. It sounds really strange, but she's just her. I don't, like whatever. I didn't,
Yeah, I thought and that kind of relates to what Matt was saying about the American films and like the director not wanting to put it in because at that time, I guess, it was like socially constructed for beauty not to be, for desirability to not be a part of like the Asian man description. Wow.
Yeah. No, it's really wild. My whole life, by the way, I've really been like that. I have not had I don't see people and have immediate thoughts about their physical features. Like I really just, like, oh, that person's really attractive. That's not even in my mind. I mean, I have now, certainly at a very young age, like by the time I was your age, Elijah, it was out of my mind. I didn't look at people and think that at all. So I never thought Lori was beautiful. Like Lori was just Lori, she just like, her energy pulled me in. And then once we started talking, that was, so it's really interesting. And sometimes I look back at photos of us when we were young, and I look at her and I think, wow, what was I thinking? You know what I mean? What was I thinking when I looked at her? Like, she's this person. He's this person,
That's called love right there.
Yo, and then I had another time. This happened recently. This is really interesting. I saw a picture of Lori when she was maybe like 20, in her mid 30s. And I saw it, and and I was just really struck by just like the radiance of her. And I didn't even think it was her. I was like, whoa, look at the radiance of that person. And then I realized, oh my God, that's Lori,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Like, wait, that's my wife, actually.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Hey, Matt, thanks for watching the videos and stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited, and I always wanted to talk to you. I'm like, wow, actually, thanks to the technology, I actually can talk to you and real life, not just typing.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing all your personal insights. They were in your experiences. They were insightful for me, especially.
And in Toronto, there's a huge Chinese community, right?
Yeah, it's lots of diversity here.
Yeah.
Like Chinese and Indian, and the funny thing is, like, there are more Indian immigrants in recent years, and then people have some, like, they may not be very happy about like too many Indian immigrants. They become the target. Like Chinese was the target before, but now we are like less of the target.
Yeah. So you're okay. Good for you.
But that's Canada. Right now we are gonna have an election in 5 days.
Yeah. And immigration is high on the list of issues, right?
Yeah, it's like Canada needs immigration, but not too many immigration. But it's hard to control. They need a balance. Right? It's not like all of a sudden too many Indian or all of a sudden too many Chinese immigrants. They need to have like a certain percentage, so it's balanced, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the reason is like they need the votes from the Indian immigrants. So all of a sudden, the Trudeau they give they give so many permits for the Indian immigrants. They can get the votes, but that's conspiracy. I don't know if it's true, but maybe true. I don't know, but we'll see about this coming election.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm watching. I'm really curious to see what happens. Everybody, we're all changing, man. Immigration this is the period of time when the world is having a reckoning about immigration. There's been so much movement between.
Welcome to 2025. Yeah, like this year, summer, right? Every day is summer.
Yeah, that's right, man. And it's every country. Every country is like kind of wrestling with these issues, and we'll continue to, far into the future. God. All right. Well, listen. Nice meeting you.
Great meeting you.
Enjoy. We'll talk again.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Goodbye.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, man. Hey, I think I got this figured out. How to move people around in and out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. You got the caller process.
Listen,
down pat.
Yeah. That's right. And that's funny.
That was cool.
All right,
That was
so
smooth.
It was pretty smooth, man. All right, it's been 2 hours. I think we can just hop off tomorrow. Hey, by the way, speaking of dating, so it's really interesting. In tomorrow's class, we're going to talk about dating, and you know, because people my age, like, dude, Elijah, I'm just confounded by what the whole dating culture is, and
really,
yeah, like, how do you even know you're in a relationship or you're dating or like I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely convoluted.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. So I think
For sure.
It'll be really interesting. We have a few different people from around the world, different places. We'll talk about, like, what is it as a way to sort of give people who watch the stream a window into how 20-year-olds or early 20s, 20-somethings are thinking about and acting on things. Yeah.
I hope you have some outspoken individuals tomorrow then, because I feel like at the same time that, like, people get sensitive about dating. I feel like, with like the situationships and like talking about it. So I hope you get some people that are.
Wait, what's a situation? What's a situationship?
Situationship is like, it's not a committed like thinking about like long term. It's more so. Sometimes it can be unspoken, and people don't really address like the what is this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's more so unspoken, and then maybe can like fade for some people, or they just are like, this is. Some people are like, oh, I want something more short term, and so it's like a situationship because they know it's going to end at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like, I think a situationship is something that's cloudy. It doesn't have like a permanent, like an official end or official like timeline or.
Do you feel like so? I'm looking for a title for tomorrow. It could be like
it could be like the tyranny of Tinder. Or
Steven just said something about how like speed dating and Tinder has really shaped things.
Yeah, or like the online dating takeover, or who knows? I don't know.
Man. Yeah,
cloudy relationships.
Okay, how about that? Cloudy relationships, man. How about cloudy situationships?
Ooh, cloudy situationships. That sounds juicy.
How about deconstructing situationships?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I feel like that gives the scholarly lens.
All right, because that's really that's really kind of what I want to do.
That's gonna be exciting.
I like really want to have a conversation that just opens the windows to what's happening. You know what I mean? So I got this Indian guy that's gonna talk, and a few different things. We'll see what happens, and I'll open it up to the class if anybody wants to hop in. But
I was literally gonna ask you to do that because I was like, just in case, like, you don't get all the different positions from those few volunteers. I feel like this is a type of topic where you might get to find someone really open and outspoken.
Yeah, who can define
from the class
for them and their culture. Yeah, I'll just have a couple people, and then I'll just bring in like I have to have someone from the Arab Muslim who can hold the Alijah culture down, right? So I think I have someone from Saudi who can do it. But you know what? I asked
that'll be interesting.
5 or 6 different Saudis. Hey, listen, I want to talk about dating culture in Saudi Arabia, and they're like, "Oh, no, man, I'm not talking about that." I'm like, "What do you mean?
Really?
Like, you don't have to talk about yourself. Just talk about dating culture." No, I don't know anything about that. I'm like, "Wait, hang on a second. That means you don't date, or you do date, but you don't want to tell anyone you date." It's like, I don't even want to talk about that. I'm like, oh, so you don't want to even say that you know about dating culture in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Like, don't say
what
that.
A position.
Yeah. Isn't that wild,
it's
man?
it's like such an inflammatory conversation. Like what I'm getting from like how they're responding to it.
I remember being in a restaurant in Qatar years ago, and these people were dating. And so there's these two guys, and I was with a Qatari, and they were explaining it to what was going on. And so the two guys in one part of the restaurant sitting at a table eating, and there were these two women in this other table, and the one woman was on a date with the one guy. They were Qataris, right? And so they're texting back and forth to each other, like, and they once in a while they'd look over at each other, but like it was like they couldn't be together, they couldn't be seen together, they couldn't be together. So they're just like kind of in this restaurant together, right, on a date, but they each had somebody else with them, man. Yeah.
What? Wait, so they each had somebody like almost like supervise, like in a way?
Yeah, just to be with, because they had to be out with someone. They couldn't be by themselves in a restaurant.
Right, like the women can't, right?
No, nor could the men. The men, guy can't just go there and eat alone. It would be too weird, right? So the point being, like, it's so intense. Like, you can't even be together at all. They can't be seen together. They can't be together. It's like, whoa, man. So
Wow.
it's so fascinating. I mean, there's so many things that are really, really interesting. So.
Wait, and just so I'm interpreting the story correctly, there was a couple that liked each other, but they couldn't go together. They had to come with different people.
Yeah, they couldn't be in the same restaurant. They couldn't just go on a date together and go have coffee, right? So you can't do that.
So they went to the same restaurant, just had two different experiences.
Yeah, so the one was with their friend, and the other's with his friend, and then the woman's with her friend, the guy's with his friend, and so they're texting. They spent the whole meal, just texting back and forth, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That like for us, like as Americans, you'd be like, that's not a date.
No, exactly.
Right?
It's crazy, man. But it was, it was like they were probably from, I don't know whose families they were from, but. The one person who I was with knew something, and I'm like, yeah, it was just super intense. And Qatar tends to be a little more, fairly liberal in many ways, but in some ways not, man. Yeah,
like the Sharia law is not as strong.
No, it's not strong.
Kind of thing.
Well,
Got it. Okay.
It's a different kinds of stuff, but
that's where that pressure comes from, right? About dating Sharia law.
Yeah, it just depends on what family you're in. So that's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be a bomb class tomorrow.
I know, man. I know. Like, but you gotta get someone to say it on video. That's the problem. So.
Right.
I have a clickbait title for you.
Yeah. What do you got?
So yesterday at the University of South Carolina, Myron Gaines did a speech called "Women Deserve Less," and his point was more or less that women want to have men who are part of the 1% while they don't work on themselves, and men need to become better because they're slouches and lazy people. So like they need to pick themselves up. You could do the opposite and say men deserve less.
Men deserve less.
It would be the exact opposite title, but I mean, still about modern dating and such.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Let me think about that. Yeah.
There's that, and I was also thinking about like, you could also do one that's real taggy to like online dating, like you clapping.
That's me. It's a dress title.
Like that was hilarious. I was like, who's clapping right now? But there you could do like. The title could be like swipe right or who's swiping right, or I don't know, like just with because like you swipe right on Tinder or like Hinge, in order to match with somebody, you like swipe right.
Yeah.
But that's more so online dating title, not necessarily situationships as a whole. But yeah, you have some options, Sam.
Dude, I got a lot of options, man. All right, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll have to title it after the class. We'll see which direction it goes. But for me, it's just fascinating. I've been really fascinated to have this conversation, about dating and different cultures and different.
Right, because I can hear like the way that you're talking about it in a very like distant manner.
Yeah.
You're like, I can really hear your curiosity. You're like, like what's up with this? Like dude, I can feel
everybody my age, especially people who have kids who are, teenagers or, because people in their 20s, man, they can't figure it out, man. You can figure out some like really super complex physics issues, of thermodynamics, but figuring out how is your teenager dating? How do they define dating and being in a relationship? Forget about it, man.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun to map out this landscape tomorrow.
Yeah, I love it, man. All right,
Eric
so
said
let's
it should be you got swiped.
You got swiped.
Oh, you got swiped. That's one too. Yeah, you got swiped. Again, more online dating vibes, but still, like hits the situation because like that's where they all start a lot of the times.
Yeah. I like that. All right, listen, man. Why don't we head out? It's been 2 hours. It's been over 2 hours, man. Hang on. So let me. I just want to play the air horn. See how that works. Okay.
Hopefully that came through. I don't know if that comes through for.
Yeah. Can anyone hear that on the stream?
Yeah, I can. Oh no! Come on, we could have fun.
Oh my god! All right, listen, man. We in class tomorrow. We'll see you, and be well, everyone. Yeah, be well. I guess
you can hear.
Yeah.
Quack quack.
All right, man. See you. Talk to you.
All right, guys.
Oh, it did come through. Steven said. All right, there it is, man. So now I'm gonna do that. All right, man. See you all. Thanks.
All right.
Be well.